Hello out there, this is Wakeangel2K1 and I am coming at you with a review of Titan's Return, Windblade, and Scorchfire. I had to get this figure on eBay for reasons that I will describe in a supplemental video so as to save time on this one. But look at that really nice card art. I really love the way that the Windblade is drawn, and with that fading effect where you can see her shoulders clearly, but then by her legs she's almost invisible. That's really cool. The back of the box, of course, has a basic description along with pictures of Windblade and her headmaster, Titan Master. I'm gonna slip and say headmaster a lot, along with the play feature where the Titan Master can ride in the cockpit, and some other stuff. It's all well and good. So let's stop talking about the box and start talking about the actual figure itself. And here is the eponymous Windblade, along with the other stuff that comes in her packaging, including this really cool trading card, which shows her pictured with her usual Energon blade, as opposed to the two swords that she actually comes with. But hey, because of the gimmick-wide feature of the line, having two weapons is just a thing. You also get her stats. With Scorchfire, her stats get really high. Never really paid much attention to the stats. Maybe if they actually came out with a card game you could play with these things, then I'd pay more attention to those. And her instruction sheet, which that's a pretty nifty drawing of her. It's kind of cool. Alright, so the Windblade figure itself is freaking great. I had to hunt it down online, paid $5 more than I would have gotten her at retail if she was ever in any of my stores, but thankfully there are no compromises here. She is a fantastic toy. I really like that that I believe some of the engineering is a retool of Highbrow. But aside from that, she is a completely original mold, which is just made to be Windblade, and that's cool. I like that my Windblade is a nice original mold that isn't making any compromises, the same way that Nautica and RC are going to have to. Oh yeah, if I ever get that Headmaster RC figure, I'll address my grievances with that toy. But we're talking about Windblade now, and I have nothing but positive feelings. First of all, that is the best Windblade head sculpt we've ever gotten on an official toy. It is just beautiful. And it looks just like she does in the comic book. Yeah, no compromises given here. She has a golden painted crest, she has her makeup. They even got some of the blue stuff around her face. So, yeah, they got everything. That's pretty much the best Windblade head we've gotten so far. Too bad that it's kind of attached to a big old block because, you know, part of the gimmick is that everybody has big square heads with just faces stuck onto them. But that's okay. When we see her Titan Master as a standalone, you'll see some stuff that they did to actually make this kind of work a little bit better. Moving down, we see her chest molded in, along with a little Autobot symbol right in the middle. You got her midriff picked out in black, which is good because it makes her look slim. Because if her entire thing was red, then you just have like a big square here because of her wing backpack kibble. And then you move down her body, some nice powerful looking legs, which kind of contrasts with how skinny her arms are. Like, she has big biceps, but then her forearms are really tiny. Not that I have any problem against it, I just wish there was a little bit more consistency. Like, either give her skinny biceps to match the forearms, or make the forearms a little thicker so that they don't look like weird little toothpicks coming out of her, like, kind of a reverse Popeye situation. And then she has shins that lead down to feet. And she does have a bit of kind of an entire cockpit just hanging off of her back, which seems to just be the way that Windblade rolls these days. But because she has really good heels this time, they are unmoving pieces of plastic, which are part of her plainness. They form part of her plane mode, so they don't fold, they don't collapse. So the problems of the collapsing heels from the original generation's toy, you will not have to deal with them. Hurrah! Okay, so her posability is really good. As you can see, her wing backpack folds all the way back. So if you want to have a smoother look up front, or if you want to have completely spread out wings, like she's some kind of plain angel, you can totally do that. I like to keep them angled just like that. There are click points, so you don't have to worry about them getting loose and falling down because they are softly ratcheted. And of course, her turbines, they do not spin like her others do, the other two official Windblades, but they are still rotatable, so you can like have her using her VTOLs to hover, which is always a good thing. And since her head is a Titan Master, it offers a really nice ball joint, and the way that the Titan Master's shoulders are sculpted, it gives her a nice range of head movement, especially for tilting. She has ball joints in the shoulders, literally 2 big balls, and to accommodate transformation, there is a hinge at the base of the ball joint stem, which could help a little bit with some things, although it does look awkward if you go ahead and like, oh dear, did I just dislocate my shoulder? She has a bicep swivel, which is not too tight and not too loose. An elbow that goes a solid 90 degrees, and some kibble sculpted underneath there so that her arm doesn't look like it's floating on her pin disc. Nothing at the wrist, which I always don't like when I have a sword-wielding character, because wrists are pretty important for sword-wielding characters, but alright. She has swivels in her legs that allow them to go all the way forward and backwards, no problem. Ratchet, soft detents in her thighs, like click, 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 click. Five clicks till it's out at a full 90. Although the ratchet on this leg is much tighter. You see? Really had to push to make those ratchets move. There's enough click points in her ratchets. Although, like, this one I can get poses in between the ratchets, while this one very rigidly goes from one ratchet to the next without wanting to stop in between. But there is a thigh swivel and a really deep beyond 90 degree knee bend, which is pretty good considering that there is no hollow space in the back of her shin. I mean, there is up here in the knee, but like, we're so used to seeing like a big empty space here, especially for characters that transform in this way, as I'll show you. So the fact that there's actually technical Greeble looking stuff sculpted here, look, if you look really closely, you can see that it even looks like it's a jet thruster that turned into her foot. So yes, excellent attention to detail. I love how there is actually significantly less hollow space in this figure than we've been seeing in a lot of Transformers lately. And as you can see, like, just in showing off her posability, I sort of accidentally put her into a cool looking pose. Which is kind of cool. Of course, she doesn't come with her iconic Energon blade. She instead comes with these two yellow... They're translucent yellow swords, which have been painted silver. They're kind of cool, kind of awesome, kind of big. And they can peg together to form one gigantic broadsword, which has a seat to accommodate a Titan Master. Although the seat doesn't look too obtrusive. Like, unlike a lot of the other weapons, which look really stupid having a chair built into them, this one actually looks pretty good as a double sword, especially if you just look at it from this side. Although, it is kind of awkward the way it has 2 handles, so even though she can wield this one gigantic broadsword looking like something that Cloud or Guts would use, the fact of the matter is that, you know, that like, having the handles on the sides instead of in the middle just looks a little bit weird for a sword, is what I'm trying to get at. Of course, I happen to have a spare Windblade sheath, and this, of course, is the one from the the Robots in Disguise cartoon version of the figure. But as we all know, the sculpting of that scabbard is very, very similar to the original Generations figure. And so that means if you really do want to have her armed up with the original Energon blade, she still has that little slot right there in her thigh where you can stick the scabbard in, just like with the original toy. And although it does limit the articulation of her knee, because now, well, yeah, the fin kind of hits the scabbard, but she is still compatible with the old sword. So, yes, go nuts with her original iconic Windblade sword, even if it's not in the right color. Okay, so that's enough talk about her robot mode. Let's talk about her alt mode. First, let's talk about her Titan Master partner, Scorchfire. Scorchfire has Windblade's face on her back. But other than that, when you unfold her into her little standing robot mode, she is just a little tiny robot person with the same ball-jointed arms, although I think the ball joint on her left arm is malformed because it doesn't want to go out, it only wants to go forward. Although it does go out once I get it forward, so maybe the malformation is pretty small. And aside from the fact that they painted her face white, there is no other detailing on her, which is a little bit of a shame because they actually did sculpt it a little bit differently than your typical Titan Master. And the black plastic kind of eats away. Like, I'm pointing her towards my light, hoping to catch some light in her sculpting. But let's get Nautica's little Titan Master in here so that we can have a point of comparison. There we go. So as you can see, this is what I was talking about, how they changed the sculpt of the figure to accommodate Windblade's unique head. As you can see, her shoulders have a little bit taken off the corner. This creates a rounder look on the head when it's in head mode, and allows for much more expressive tilt. And if you ask me, it looks like they intentionally sculpted in a feminine waistline. Like it's hard to tell because it's all black, but it does have a curve, like a feminine hourglass curve, as opposed to this one, which goes straight down and then kind of comes out into the hip, still looks mannish is what I'm trying to say, even though this is also a female head. Well, a female character's head. I don't know if the Titan Master has to be female. I mean, whatever. So yeah, that's the Titan Master. Could have used a little bit of paint on her torso, but aside from that, it's nice to see that they made an original mold for, you know, an explicitly female-looking headmaster, Titan Master. I would also be remiss if I didn't mention that she actually has a pretty sweet Gerwalk mode going on. I mean, seriously, paint this thing white and it would pretty much look like anything out of Macross. It really does. Okay, so here is the Titan Master sitting in the broadsword. It looks a little bit silly, but also kind of awesome. Like it's a giant, you know, like this kind of looks like something that would be moving at very, very high speeds. Although I kind of wish that there was standing pegs so that you could have it stand. Then you could actually make it look like it's on a giant surfboard. Oh well. Of course, the Titan Master does very neatly go into the cockpit. Thusly. Very, very easily accommodated. And there we go. The transformation for this figure shows that it is a lot like, yeah, the fact that it's a retooling of Highbrow is obvious due to transformation in that it feels too simple. Like, you fold the cockpit up, you pull the hips out, you fold the legs over, and then you tuck the arms in on the sides. The arms don't even attempt to hide, as the arms are just kind of like there on the sides, trying to justify themselves with these fins acting as two of her landing struts, while the third landing strut is here in the front. Yeah. And from below, not much of a robot in disguise down there, although you could make the argument that this is that on Cybertron, you don't really need to disguise yourself as anything. Your alt mode is used mostly for transportation, so I guess I can forgive it. I do love the forward swept wings. You don't see lots of forward swept wings, and that always looks cool. So yeah, it's a really nice plane mode. It holds together really well at the very least. And because it's so simple to transform, you don't feel like anything's gonna come out of place or had to be put really carefully into place like with her original Generations toy. So yeah, that's all well and good. So yeah, this is the Titans Return Windblade. If I were to say anything negative about her, it would be that the transformation is way too simple, but the figure itself has an awesome robot mode and a pretty darn good plane mode, even if this does absolutely nothing to transform aside from folding back. I mean, like, you can see, like, if I folded it, yeah, like, see? That's all just one giant piece that does nothing to transform. Although it is kind of cool that it actually uses a neck peg to go into the place where the head would go as its click-in point. That's kind of nifty. Alright, so the only thing left to do is to compare this Windblade to a bunch of other Windblades that I happen to have.